welcome back to my channel. Sorry for the last video that I posted, which was my April wrap-up. I guess the booktube gods were just against me and did not want me to post that video. So I'll try to comment on that one with all of my thoughts on all of the books that I read, since it seemed to have not uploaded the whole video. So yeah. But today I'm going to be doing another book tag. And I'm going to be doing the random recommendations tag. And I came across this tag on the Books and Writing Amino, which is an app that you can get that you can basically talk to other people who are into the book community and talk about books and do polls and quizzes and things like that, and it's really fun. So if you haven't checked that out, I would recommend that you check that out. And if you are here because of the Books and Writing Amino, hi, welcome. Thanks for watching my video. So this I found from Eden on Books and Writing Amino. I'll try to see if I can link that down below. I'm not sure if that's something that I can do since it's an app, but I'll try to do that. But the first prompt for this tag is to recommend a book with a hilarious male character. And this would not be my channel if I did not hype up this book, and that is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. If you've watched my previous videos or follow me on any other platform, you know that I love this book. It is hilarious. All of the male characters in this are hilarious, and I just can't recommend this book more. So if you have not read this, please go check it out. The second book, Bloody Rose, is coming out in July. And it is a companion follow-up to this novel, and I'm so excited for that one, and you should definitely check this one out. Then I want to recommend a book with a strong female character, and I am going to go with Alosa from Daughter of the Pirate King by Trisha Levenseller. And Alosa is just so strong, and she doesn't need anybody to do anything for her. She doesn't need a guy. She is just strong and capable, and she is the captain of an all-female ship, which is just fabulous by itself. But she's also badass, and, you know, it's just, she's awesome. And the next prompt is to recommend a high fantasy book. And believe it or not, I actually had a really hard time with this one, because while fantasy is my preferred genre, a lot of the books on the shelves behind me I have not read yet. When I moved into this apartment, I did a purge of all of my books and basically bought all new books. I had 2 shelves when I lived with my parents. Now I have 3.5 shelves, so as you can imagine, most of those I have not read yet. But one that I want to recommend that I'm only about halfway through is The Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb. And this follows a child, and through the whole series he's growing up, and I'm only about halfway through this, but basically it's just his life story and him growing up and figuring out who he is and becoming this powerful man, I guess. I'm not sure if he becomes an assassin. Yeah, that's it. He's not an assassin yet in this, so it's like the start of his training and everything, but I do recommend this book. So far it has been really great, so if you haven't read this, read it. And if you want to read it along with me, let me know. And then the next prompt is to read an underhyped dystopian book. And to be completely honest with you, dystopian is not my thing. I went through my shelves and only found 2 that I could really say were actual dystopian, and both of them were pretty hyped. So I don't have something for this one, but I'm picking Scythe by Neil Shusterman. Yes, this is a hyped dystopian, I know, but I don't have anything else to go for this, so sorry. And this is basically a society where everything is perfect. There's no death, there's no disease, there's no war, and there are these people called scythes who kill people to keep the population down, and it sounds really interesting. I haven't read it yet, which, I mean, so I'm recommending a book I haven't read yet, but I've heard fantastic things about this, and people that I really do trust their opinions on have said that it's fantastic. So I'm hoping that I will pick this up soon. Might pick this up next after this video. So yeah. Then the next prompt is to recommend an amazing book over 500 pages. And again, if you've watched my channel, this one shouldn't come as any surprise, but I'm going to recommend The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. And I'm actually in the middle-ish of the second book, and I'm listening to it on audiobook. And if you're reading the physical book of this and you're not really getting into it, maybe try the audiobook, because I have found, especially since I started reading the second book in the physical form and then switched over to the audiobook, I definitely do enjoy it a lot more in the audiobook, because you get the sarcasm and all of that, their dialogue. You really get that in the audiobook, plus the narrator is fantastic. So yeah, I recommend that you check this one out. Basically, if you're not aware by now, this follows a man named Quoth, and it's his life story that he's telling after the fact, kind of like as his memoir. And this particular book follows him throughout his childhood while he's in a magic school, and also before the magic school, before he gets there. And yeah, it is, some parts are pretty dry. It is very long. It's a very, very long book. But if you like fantasy and you like more character-driven books, I would check this one out. This one is really good. And the next one is to recommend a book for a child between the ages of 8 and 10. And as you can imagine, since fantasy is my favorite genre, and as you can probably tell from the books behind me, not a lot of these are children-friendly. But the one series that I have that is child-friendly is the Harry Potter series, which I don't think I need to give a synopsis on this. I'm pretty sure that everybody knows what this is about by now, and if you don't, what rock have you been living under? Seriously, like, I mean, it's Harry Potter. And yeah, so this is the only book that I own that I could recommend to an 8 to 10-year-old. Then the next prompt is to recommend a book that has a wonderful movie or TV adaptation. And I don't know what kind of fantasy buff I would be if I did not recommend the Lord of the Rings series, which, yes, is one book split up into 3 books, but the movies are fantastic. I am a horrible fantasy buff because I have not yet read the actual books, so I can't tell you how the books compare to the movies. But those are my all-time favorite movies. Those and The Hobbit are my favorite movies, hands down, of all time. So I would imagine that the book version is just as good, if not better, because the movies are so great. Then the next prompt is to recommend a book that came out within the past year. And honestly, I haven't really been reading a lot of current releases lately. But one that I did read that came out within the last year that I did really enjoy is The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. And this is a very dark, witchy, spooky, eerie book. And I read it in March, I believe. And normally I would save a book like this for like October and Halloween, but I read it in March, and I think that it was the perfect time to read it. It's just really great. And basically this follows the teenagers from a town called Sparrow, where every summer these 3 sisters who were witches back in like 300 years ago, they were drowned in the harbor of this town, and every summer they come back and steal the bodies of 3 girls and then drown 3 boys as their revenge for the townspeople, you know, calling them witches and drowning them for the crime of being a witch. And it was really interesting, and I loved all the characters. I especially loved the 3 witch sisters. But if you like witches and you like dark fantasy-esque type of novels, I would pick this one up. Plus, this cover is gorgeous and it's holographic. Plus, not only is the dust jacket beautiful, but the first, I think, 100 of these books have this special naked hardback that has the moon and stars on it, and it's a lovely book inside and out. Recommend a mystery book that kept you on the edge of your seat. Now for this one, I'm also going to be cheating a bit with this. Fantasy is my first favorite genre, followed closely by mystery, thriller, suspense, that kind of thing. But again, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of the books on my shelves are new, so I haven't gotten around to reading them yet. But I'm going to recommend one that I'm in the middle of, and that is The 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. And so far, this has kept me on the edge of my seat. It's so interesting trying to figure out who is the person who killed Evelyn Hardcastle. And it's been so good. And the map for this one is actually on the end pages. And it's been a really great ride so far, and trying to figure out who it is that's behind the death has been crazy, and I have no idea who it could possibly be. But this follows a man who, at the beginning we don't know his name, we don't know who he is, but then we find out that he is a guest of the Hardcastles, and basically he has to solve this murder of Evelyn Hardcastle, and he has 7 days to do it, but she dies each day, so the day just repeats itself over and over again. But the twist is that every morning he wakes up in a different body. So he's waking up in 7 bodies of the different guests that are at this house, and he has to use each of these people to try to figure out who it is behind the murder. And it's just been so interesting so far, and it's very unique, and I highly recommend this one. And then finally, the last one is to recommend a book that you had to read for school and enjoyed. And I'm going to pick a book that I read in college for one of my college classes that I enjoyed. And that would be Survival of the Sickest, The Surprising Connections Between Disease and Longevity by Dr. Sharon Molam. So I graduated with a degree in conservation biology, and one of the classes that I took discussed diseases and how evolution plays a part in those diseases and where they come from. And this was one of the books we had to read for this class. And it was so interesting, and it basically just shows the connections between diseases and how they arise in human populations. So the back of this, some of the examples that are in this book are: was diabetes evolution's response to the last ice age? Did a deadly genetic disease help our ancestors survive the bubonic plagues of Europe? Why are some people immune to HIV? And can your genes be turned on or off? And for someone who is has a science background, this was a very interesting book. And if you're interested in science or diseases and genetics and things like that, this is a really interesting book, and it's very easy to read. There's not really a lot of scientific jargon or anything like that. So if you are interested in any of that stuff, I do recommend this book, and it was really interesting. So there are my random recommendations. Let me know if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them, or what you would recommend for these, because I'm always looking for new book recommendations. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. And I will also link down in the description box all of my other social media links in case you want to come and be my friend on any other platform. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!